The U.S. president has once again repeated threats against Iran over the country's nuclear energy program.
We will be in close consultation with Israel and our other friends and allies in the region during this process. And our hope is that we can resolve this diplomatically. But as President of the United States, I've said before, and I will repeat, that we take no options off the table, including military options.
Obama made the remarks during a meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Washington. Obama says America's unshakable bond with Israel is stronger than ever. He also reiterated Washington's commitment to Israel's security. For his part, Netanyahu said Israel wants Iran to fully dismantle its nuclear energy program. He added that a credible military threat and sanctions have brought Iran to the negotiating table. He called on Obama to tighten economic sanctions against Iran. Well, let's speak to Kevin Barrett. He's a senior editor of Veterans Today and joining us via Skype from Madison. Mr. Barrett, thank you very much for joining us here on Press TV. Now, looking at the recent comments made by Barack Obama, it seems that the pressure from the Israeli lobby in the U.S. is getting to him. How far do you think he can resist in as far as coming up with a negotiated deal with Iran?
Well, he should be able to resist. After all, he is in his second term. He doesn't have to run for re-election again. So that's the time when presidents historically have been willing to stand up at least a little bit for American interests rather than Israeli interests. And I think President Obama has a history of not particularly seeing eye to eye with Mr. Netanyahu. So I would hope that these words of Obama's are really just sort of empty words that he's feeding the Zionist lobby to try to keep them happy. Unfortunately, I just don't see why it's necessary. I think it's a disgrace to the presidency and to the United States of America that a criminal against humanity on the scale of Netanyahu, who has blood all over his hands in so many ways, who's actually a prime suspect in the controlled demolition of the World Trade Center on September 11, 2001, a terrible attack on the United States. He immediately went on television and said that his reaction was, "It's very good." That was his reaction to September 11th. It's very good. And then he caught himself and said, well, actually, I meant it was just good for Israel. But he was basically celebrating 9/11, just like the dancing Israelis who were caught celebrating the success of the demolition of the Twin Towers in New York. Now, it's just a disgrace that somebody like that can come to the United States and try to dictate to the American president how he should conduct his foreign policy. And more Americans are being outraged by this. And we're hoping that someday we will have a president with the intestinal fortitude to stand up against these Israeli mass murderers and big liars.
Right, but Mr. Barrett, this is a president who's been brought down on his knees by Congress, and the spending bill that we were just discussing earlier is a prime example of it. And Israeli lobbies do have a lot of impact on the way Congress decides the way things should move in American politics. So do you see Obama buckling to that pressure?
Absolutely. The Israeli lobby doesn't just have a lot of clout in Congress, it owns Congress outright. About half of the money that's contributed to federal candidates in the U.S. comes from Zionists, and it has very strong strings attached. This has been going on ever since we heard from President John F. Kennedy, who confided to his close friend Gore Vidal that he had been approached by Israeli lobby people who told him that if he would let them run his foreign policy, they would take care of all of his financial needs from then on. And the same thing has been going on ever since. Kennedy rejected the deal, and that's one of the reasons he was killed. So yes, Congress is completely owned by this Israeli lobby. If Obama wants to get his way with Congress on some of these other issues, he has to at least be seen as kowtowing to Netanyahu, and it's a disgrace.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. Senior editor of Veterans Today, Kevin Barrett, there joining us from Madison via Skype. Thank you very much for your comments here on Press TV.